Before I give my remarks, can we just give a shout out to David, who is an example of what a college degree can do. He is class of 2015 in 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks. He helps us get to that goal of 60% because he gets his degree. So thank you, David, for being here. Learning Gateway's Real Men Graduate Initiative has one big, bold goal. 60% of black males will have a 4-year degree by the year 2020. And while we created Real Men Graduate National Signing Day to celebrate the men who are taking steps to make that goal a reality, one of the questions that I received on too many occasions as we were planning this event is, why black males? So I've decided to answer that question through the work of Dr. Jennifer Eberhardt. She is a social psychologist out of Stanford University who earned her doctorate in psychology from Harvard. She is also a MacArthur Genius Fellow. What I'm about to share with you was taken from a presentation she gave in 2007 at Harvard Law School. She was presenting the results of research she and her colleagues conducted on the subconscious associations people make between blacks and crime and the associations they make between blacks and animals. She began her presentation not with her own research, but with the results of other studies that underscore why her research is necessary. The fact that most white Americans think racial discrimination against blacks is no longer a problem, that blacks have equal access and opportunity for employment, education, and housing, that blacks are treated fairly, and that as white Americans, they themselves never experience negative thoughts or emotions when they encounter people of different races. So Dr. Eberhardt and her team's work focuses on what are called implicit associations about race. Because in her words, our attitudes and beliefs about race can be processed implicitly. Race can influence people more than they think, meaning that in circumstances where we don't even know we're thinking about race, we could be thinking about race. And at times, these attitudes and beliefs about race can lead to negative consequences. So here's some of what she and her team found. In tests where white males were exposed to images at speeds that placed what they saw beneath their conscious awareness, those who were primed to think about black faces focused more quickly on objects associated with crime, like guns, than those who were presented with white faces. These associations also worked in reverse. That is, when primed to think about crime, research subjects focused their attention more quickly on black faces. It's important to note that, as is common with psychological research, the initial research participants were white male college students, in this case, students attending an Ivy League institution. These are the males who will run the companies we seek employment from, the banks that will determine whether our small businesses receive the loans they need to operate. They will own the properties we seek to live in, become the legislators who make our laws, and the judges who determine the fairness of proceedings against us. They are also more likely to be the police commissioner than the police officer. So Dr. Eberhardt and her colleagues studied police officers as well. And when these officers were encouraged to think about arresting, shooting, or capturing, they too were drawn more quickly to the black face. You can't see that, but it says, "You look like the sketch of someone who is thinking about committing a crime." In fact, it turns out that the very blackness of a face matters. These researchers found that the more stereotypically black a male appears, the more likely he is to be falsely identified in a lineup. And if convicted of a crime that carries the possibility of a death sentence, the more likely he is to receive it. So let's talk about stereotypes. To be specific, looking stereotypically black doubles the chances of receiving a death sentence, but only if the victims are white. So if all lives matter, they don't matter equally. And Dr. Eberhardt's research also tells us why. Black people are not just viewed as criminals. We are thought of as less than human. This isn't hyperbole, it's history. And at one time in this country, it was the law. So what starts as a rule becomes a reason. One of the oldest race battles that blacks have fought in this country has been the battle to be recognized as fully human, to be regarded not in the in-between status somewhere between ape and human, but to be fully human. And this is an old battle that on the surface at least appears to be largely forgotten. when Dr. Eberhardt and her team asked Stanford University undergraduates, to tell them what social groups it associated with apes, most reported no knowledge that Black Americans are associated with apes. When asked what animals are associated with Black Americans, again, most reported no knowledge of an association between Blacks and apes. No research study could be found documenting an explicit or implicit stereotypical association between Blacks and apes. So Dr. Eberhardt and her team created one, and I don't think I need to tell you what they found. Speaking about this experience, she said, "These results stopped me in my tracks. For the first time in my career, I looked at a study's results, and I just had to say, have mercy. We kept running this study. We repeated it to make sure the effect was real, and the result was always the same. We tested the association backwards and forwards, and the result was always the same." Now, that may seem funny, but let me make this connection for you. Because we aren't talking about political correctness. If you ask any forensic psychologist, they will tell you that once we begin to see a person as less than human, that person becomes easier to kill. These associations between Blacks and animals have seeped deep into our subconscious awareness in large measure because of how they have been introduced and then reinforced over generations through every form of media, music, art, journalism. In one of the studies the Eberhardt team conducted, they reviewed the newspaper articles written between 1979 and 1999 about defendants who were convicted of crimes that made them eligible for the death penalty. And in these articles, they looked for words like animal, barbaric, predator, and savage. They wanted to know if animal imagery was used more frequently in articles about Black defendants than in articles about white defendants who were convicted of equally heinous crimes, and that's exactly what they found. But they also found this imagery to be predictive, meaning the defendants who were most frequently described as animals were also the ones most frequently sentenced to death. These images are everywhere, and none of us are immune. Because while Black men are more likely to be subjected to police brutality than any other demographic, they are also at their highest risk of violent death at the hands of another Black man. It's going to take more than a hashtag for Black lives to matter. This is why this day was necessary. Before our lives can matter to anyone else, they have to matter to us. That means our choices have to matter. Nothing we face as a people in 2015 is harder or more dangerous than what we faced in 1815, because we have choices that our grandparents did not. We get to choose how we spend our time, how we choose to present ourselves, how we choose to voice our frustrations, and what we choose to call each other. Every choice we make is an image, and whether we agree with it or not, if that image does not destroy a stereotype to the subconscious mind, it defends it. So this day is for every Black male, no matter who you are or where you've come from. This is your day because you matter to us. We are expecting great things from you because despite all images to the contrary, you come from greatness. We are not here to celebrate that you are going to college. We are here to celebrate that you are going to graduate. And rest assured, you belong to a village that stands ready to help you. A stereotype doesn't have to be your story. You get to write your own. So as we bring this year's event to a close and these moments become your memories, I invite you to start writing the next chapter of your story today. As you do, let these words from the late Ossie Davis frame the images that you see and what you see being Black to be. Tonight, my friends, I find in being Black a thing of beauty, a joy, a strength, a secret cup of gladness. A native land in neither time nor place, a native land in every Negro face. Be loyal to yourself, your skin, your hair, your lips, your Southern speech and your laughing kindness are Negro kingdoms vast as any other. Accept in full the sweetness of your Blackness, not wishing to be white, nor red, nor yellow, or any other race or face, but this: